Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead, and today we're making turkey broth with that carcass and the wingtips. You didn't think we'd not use that, right? Okay, here is one of my big canners, and it is got a gallon and a half of water in it. To that, I'm going to add the smallest bunch of celery that I could find in my garden, 2 onions cut in half with the worst of the dry taken off, a bay leaf, 5 or 6 peppercorns, about 2 teaspoons of pickling salt. I use pickling salt because it has no additives. I don't have any carrots except canned, so that wouldn't do any good. But this will be just fine for turkey broth. And here is the wings and the thigh bones and everything of our turkey. I'm going to put the lid on my canner. There's the lid on our canner. Always start with cold water when you're extracting broth from meat or bones, okay? Cold water gets it right down into the center. I don't know why, it just works better. I'm going to turn this on high, and I'm going to let the canner vent. As soon as we get our steady stream of steam in our bobble, I'm going to let it vent for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to process this. I'm going to process it at 10 pounds pressure for 90 minutes. Some people say that's overkill. I say I'm making sure I get every little bit of nutrients out of the bones and meat. All right, so our canner's on. We'll come back when it's hissing. All right, we're spouting a steady stream of steam. Timer goes on for 10 minutes, and when the timer goes off, we'll be putting our 10-pound weight on and processing this at 10 pounds pressure for 90 minutes. Timer has gone off, and I'm going to put this 10-pound weight on, and as soon as we get our first vigorous jiggle, that's our vigorous jiggle. We're setting it for 90 minutes now. Okay, our timer has gone off. It's been an hour and a half. I'm going to shut my canner off, and I'm going to let this cool down until it's cool enough for me to safely open, and then I'll strain it and we'll can the broth. All right, now I have strained my canner, and since I'm just canning broth, I'm going to put this aside in a bowl, and I'll pick through the meat later, and I'll save just enough broth for Howard and I to have soup later this week. So for now, oh yes, and if your strainer doesn't quite fit your pot, just put a wooden spoon across it under the handle and it works just fine. Just don't bang that handle. Here's our canner with the required amount. I'm sorry, my kettle is really heavy, but that's for pouring over my lids. Here's my canner with the required amount of water in the bottom and about 2 ounces or a good splash of white vinegar because I'm on well water and I don't want my jars to come out cloudy. Here's our beautiful broth, 8 wash jars. We're just waiting on the boiling water for our lids and we'll get started. Now we're not debubbling today because it's just liquid. Can you see okay? Good. And I have myself a fresh batch of little bits of flannel, clean flannel, in a jar with a splash of vinegar to wipe my rims. Kettle water is hot enough to pour over our lids. They have been washed and rinsed. Now I won't be putting any salt or anything in this, because it's just broth. Gracie, you're not getting any of those bones. I added salt when I was putting it in the canner. Hush, Gracie. Always, always, always wipe your... Oh, she thinks the strainer bowl is for her. Always, always, always wipe your rims with a clean damp paper towel. Mine is a little bit of clean flannel soaked in vinegar. And of course, we are using 4 Jars lids, my favorite lid. I will use nothing else but 4 Jars canning lids. Check the link in the description box below this video for a link and a coupon code. Into the canner that goes. I know this seems like a lot of work for broth, but by God, this stuff's $4 or $5 for the cheap stuff in the stores. And this is cold weather comfort food, my friends. Cold weather comfort food. All right, we've got 5 quarts in here, and this is just enough for me to pick through these turkey bones. Make sure you get all the bones out, and I'm just dropping the bits of meat into. Okay, so I'm going through the bits. Hush, Gracie. And I'm dropping, taking off the bones, and dropping chunks of meat that I found from the cooked turkey skeleton into this jar of leftover broth. It's not quite a full liter, and if I can get the juice pushed all the way to the top, once this cools down, it'll almost seal, but it's not safe, so it'll be put in the fridge. Now, you can see that there's just enough broth left to top up the jar and let Gracie have a taste. Somebody said the other day, "Oh, that's it for me. You let the dog lick the pan." I'm just going to wipe this rim here, put a lid on it. And this, as soon as it cools down, will be going into the fridge for another day. We're going to turn the canner up. It's been on medium. We're going to put our lid on. How many quarts have I got in here? 2, 4, 5. Okay. And we're going to put our lid on and bring this up to it until it's spouting a steady stream of steam. Already our timer has gone off. We're going to put our 10-pound weight on here, and at the first vigorous jiggle, we're going to start timing. 20 minutes for pints, 25 minutes for quarts. This is just broth. I used to think you had to can it as long as you would can meat, but you don't. Check your manufacturer's directions if you live 1,000 feet or more above sea level, because your weights and processing times may change. So, as soon as I get a jiggle from that, I'm going to set the timer for 25 minutes. And that's our last vigorous jiggle. The timer has gone off, and we're going to shut off the canner, and we're going to let this cool naturally. You know the drill. Don't jiggle the weight. Don't immerse it in cold water. Don't take the weight off rapidly venting your canner. Let it cool naturally. Letting it cool naturally is part of the canning process. Isn't that a lovely sound? Here is 5 jars of still bubbling broth out of the canner and 1 jar of broth and meat cooling down to go into the fridge. That's how you make an 11-pound turkey do 2, 4, 6, 10 meals for 2 people. Take care, God bless. That's making it stretch. And remember, folks, if you're a home canner and you're not trying 4 Jars canning lids, you are missing out. These are heavier than any other disposable lid on the market. They are a US company, and if you order over $100, your shipping is free. Check in the description box below this video for a link to 4 Jars canning lids and use the coupon code HALFACRE, all one word in capital letters, for 10% off. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok for ideas and recipes. Forge Arcs Canning Lids, you can't go wrong.